Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Terrell. Thank you not only for that kind introduction, but most importantly for your incredible bravery, for being somebody who, in the face of having lived through life's most difficult moments, you have now made a difference in thousands of people's lives. And I cannot thank you enough on their behalf. I want to also thank Dean Speda for your leadership, to Laura Nyrider, who is a fighter every day for justice, and to the entire team at the Center on Wrongful Convictions. You do amazing work, really amazing work, and I've been thrilled to support that work and to believe in that work. I was a student here at this university, at this law school. I have to admit, I walked by the law school library and got the heebie-jeebies. But I know no one's going to force me back in there at this point in my life. But this is a great institution with great people representing it, and I am very proud to be a graduate of this great law school. Before I begin, I want to just briefly speak to yesterday's meeting at the White House with President Biden and Vice President Harris. We had a discussion about federal infrastructure package. To be clear, Illinois is defining what it means to invest in infrastructure in today's economy, and I'm very proud that just yesterday CNBC named Illinois as the best state in the nation for infrastructure investment. I'm very proud of that. And so just briefly, and I will move on to the topic of the day, but I wanted to make sure and address this for members of the press, that through the bipartisan Rebuild Illinois Capital Plan, we're investing $45 million, $45 billion into the greatest foundations for a strong economy, something that'll create jobs for everybody. That's roads and bridges, waterways and airports, community colleges and universities, a stable early childhood infrastructure, something extraordinarily important to me personally, more access to better health care for everyone, confronting climate change, and bringing high-speed broadband to every corner, every block, every corner of this state. 21st century infrastructure package must address 21st century challenges. We're doing that here in the state of Illinois, and that's exactly what the president is working to pass at the federal level. It will be an enormous assistance to all of us. With that, I'd like to turn to why we're all here today. This is a moment when we get to mark truly one of the most joyous and important accomplishments for a fair and safe criminal justice system, and something that should make people all across the state proud. And while I may be the one signing the bills, these consequential pieces of legislation only reached my desk because of the fierce and unrelenting advocacy of so many who are standing here today, and also because of the sacrifices of generations of folks who came before us and who aren't here today. But they came before us in this fight for justice, and they need to be remembered on this day. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the folks that are here and maybe couldn't join us. Let me start with the bill's sponsors. Senator Robert Peters, Representative Justin Slaughter, Representative Kelly Cassidy, Representative Carol Ammons. These lawmakers, as well as Leader Jackie Collins and Senator Adrian Johnson, Senator Maddie Hunter, who are also some with us today. These folks have transformed the pain of so many into progress for everyone. I also want to recognize State's Attorney Kim Foxx, a tireless champion for equity in our justice system, who has long fought to undo the damage done by systemic racism. We wouldn't be here without your work. Thank you. And of course, my partner in governance and a lifelong advocate for restorative justice, someone who's fought for criminal justice reform for her entire career in public life, and that's Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. So earlier this year, I proudly stood with the Black Caucus to sign the criminal justice reform pillars into law, a historic package that marks a transformative step forward in our efforts to dismantle systemic racism in Illinois. Our work is not done, but it was an enormous step forward. In that same spirit, the 4 bills that I am signing today advance the rights of some of our most vulnerable in our justice system. And they put Illinois at the forefront of the work to bring true reform. As of today, Illinois is the first state in the nation, it was mentioned earlier, the first state in the nation to bar law enforcement from using deceptive tactics when interrogating minors. False confessions have played a role in far too many wrongful convictions, leading to painful and often life-altering consequences, as Terrell described. And that rings true for the youth who are most vulnerable to these tactics. My deep hope is that Illinois is setting an example for the entire nation to pass this law in all 50 states. Second, we are encouraging the use of restorative justice practices, moving to a system that repairs harms and addresses trauma. This legislation makes restorative justice a more viable option for survivors, cultivating safer spaces where individuals can speak freely without fear that their words may be used against them. Next, we're addressing mass incarceration, allowing states' attorneys to petition courts to reduce sentences in worthy circumstances. This bill allows prosecutors to consider factors including prison disciplinary records, proof of rehabilitation, and being a reduced risk to society due to age or health. And to ensure that we continue to address mass incarceration and overly punitive sentences. The final bill this morning creates a resentencing task force, bringing experts and stakeholders together to make recommendations about addressing sentences that we would all say, in hindsight, were too harsh. Together, this package of initiatives moves us closer to a holistic criminal justice system, one that builds confidence and trust in a system that has done harm to too many people for too long. Because here's what I know to be true. Long-standing systems that don't shift on their own, they just don't shift on their own. It takes advocacy. I mean, truly change is hard for people to embrace, even when it's the right thing to do. Change is hard. Real change, structural change, comes after meaningful advocacy, study of what hasn't worked and what will, and then adoption of effective policy. Policy that I'm signing into law today, policy that we need to continue to develop for tomorrow. And I know that's already a lot, but as we honor the work to create structural change, I want to touch on another effort that my administration is taking and that I worked with the legislature on to bring about equity and systemic change. This morning, before I arrived, I signed a bill that includes some technical changes to our cannabis legislation, which is aimed at improving equity among those who own cannabis dispensaries. I look forward to the results of the 3 lotteries that will occur later this summer. Very proud of the legislature for the changes that they've made in this law and that we've been able to work together on, and I thank the legislators that are here and those who are not.